first live weekly mojo here on the Rethink with Veronica channel. And we're all about getting real with work and life. And as being an Agile coach and working with organizations, I started to realize there is no difference between life and work. And so we're going to unpack that in today's show, where I start to uncover just the conversation in general about Agile coaching and life coaching. Now, this might not be foreign to some of you out there today, where Agile coaching really stemmed from learning about true coaching a long time ago. So this wasn't anything that was different. What has ended up happening is through the years, I don't know. I think things got a little muddled and personally a little messed up, because every organization I go to, we're not really hired to coach. We're really hired to help with practices. They don't really want to work on their people issues. Come on, let's get real about that. So what we're going to end up doing is kind of peel that basics back of discovering why agile coaching skills and life coaching is why we need both of them, and we really need to push this forward, where I believe that everywhere, education systems, organizations can really use life coaching and personal development, right? It's all about transformation. So let's jump in this today as we talk about this subject. So I was going to stream on Instagram, and what do you know? I upgraded my what is that, Big Sur or whatever, a Mac. That happened, and my darn Yellow Duck doesn't work. So no Instagram today, so we will have to end up making do. But I'm live streaming on multiple platforms, where we are on YouTube, which is my main platform. So hey, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, my little prompt there. And also we are streaming live on FaceTube, or did I say FaceTube? Oh my God, Facebook, FaceTube. Hello, if you know me, I always jumble up words. So Facebook on my personal and Rethink with Veronica. And then I'm also on Twitch and Periscope, I believe. So let's see here. Let's get started and jump into. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with a couple of things as we get started today. And give me one quick second here. So I'm going to check and make sure that my last time, call me paranoid, but my screen sharing was not actually showing. Okay, it's showing. So I'm feeling good about that right now. All right. So now I talk about transformation is within, and this is important because as we go through the Agile journey, and I've gone through the Agile journey, I feel like I had a pocket mirror attached to me. It was always about getting feedback and how you are progressing and how are you learning and growing as a person. And any of you that are Agile coaches out there or Scrum Masters, it's like the world of feedback. You're always getting feedback and how you can be the best version of you. And so how can we, as we start to progress in our Agile journey, of really thinking about transformation doesn't start within. And this is what it's all about, and really bridging that gap between our Agile coaching and life coaching. So let's dive into it. I'm not always going to have a lot of visuals, but I'm a very visual person, and I think sometimes it helps when I'm describing some of these things out there. So I already said the hardest thing about an Agile coach is the people side. So those of you that are Agile coaches out there today, it is stinking hard. We know that the hardest part of our job is not teaching organizations and people about Agile, right? Those of you that have been doing it for years, you can do it, you're sleeping with your eyes closed. It's really about the people side of it.
We aren't typically hired to come in and say, hey, can you help us with our people problems? Hey, can you help us with the fact that we have probably the 5 negative emotions that we have to go through. And the main one is fear. We have fear of failure. We have fear of really doing anything that isn't quite certain for us. So that we are never hired for the people side when it comes to Agile. It's almost like we have to kind of sneak it in through the back door. And so this is really the hardest thing when it comes to being an Agile practitioner. Now, if any of you that are watching right now, I got a couple of viewers, comment and let me know, are you feeling that? Because I can tell you right now, that is something that is quite painful for all of us. So now I'm going to ask you, what is the future of Agile coaching? Is it really going into continuous, all about practices? Or are we going to actually start getting real and talking about people and transformation? We talk about people first cultures. We talk about purpose. We talk about values. So are we going to start getting real and really going on to that people side? I love every work that everyone is doing out there today in the Agile community. So props to you. We have Agile people. We have like people that have been starting to do this from ages, right? But it's always still a difficult task. Now, I'm going to get into what is coaching, as I said. We're going to talk about what is Agile coaching, and we're going to talk about what is life coaching. So this is one of the things that, again, I love visuals. ICF Definition of Coaching really is about, and I'm going to say this visual in case that we end up going more of the audio podcast. So I'm going to read this out, folks. So bear with me if you can read it. Is ICF defines coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process and inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. And so that is a very simple definition of coaching. I really liked the visual that we had here. We actually learned this in the Neuro Leadership Institute when I got my brain-based coaching certification, of really understanding the difference between the different quadrants. So we have counseling, right? That's your therapist, helping with problems. And then you have coaching, which is more ask-orientated and solution-focused. And then obviously your mentoring, which is tell orientation, and then you have consulting. So these are the predominant quadrants that I think most of us are already familiar out there. So that is the definition in general about coaching. So now let's start getting a little bit deeper on that. Gotta love Lyssa Adkins. I can listen to her all day. I'm gonna put some of these visuals where I'm channeling her, channeling some Lyssa here. And this is the Agile Competency, the coaching framework. And I remember when I went to the Agile boot camp, we kind of go through and we learn about all these different things. So in Agile coaching, it isn't just coaching. It's really about understanding, being an Agile lean practitioner, really knowing Agile, right? The frameworks and everything around it, being able to teach, and also mentoring. So you can see in those quadrants, and I'll go back here in a visual, we're really hitting coaching and mentoring, right? Now, when we look at the bottom, that's really about mastery. So like in coaching, right, in general, you have a bunch of different coaches out there in the market. Mastery is the same thing with coaching. In Agile coaching, where you're going to have Agile coaches that are really more technical, right? You know, DevOps that's out there today, all the technical aspects. You have people that are really focusing on the business side. I would say probably that is maybe expanding between the business and transformation is that business agility when we bring everything together. But the transformation of mastery. And this is really, I think, a great snapshot of what it starts to see the difference between just coaching and then Agile coaching. Now let's look a little further here. Now, I liked this because it talks about the different paths to Agile as an Agile coach. Now, Agile coaches can stem from many things, from you being a developer, a scrum master, or a project manager that's typically out there. And really at the end of the day, you start realizing that you're embracing Agile and you are working beyond, and you're starting to help others come along. Now here's another visual that Lyssa had, which I thought was quite interesting. And this is where we're going to start getting real, is that you see the middle there where it has work life coach. And I'm going to change the visual here real quick. You don't have to see my mug. Work life coach. And then you have Agile coach. What happened? Those of you that have gone into organizations, you're either maybe a scrum master, maybe a team coach, maybe, you're a program coach, enterprise coach. We're all these different labels that you have out there today. And we jump from scrum master to Agile coach, but there's that middle there where we're seeing work life coach. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to get real about this. How many of you are really going through personal transformations that you are getting life coaching? Does it exist today? Did we jump from more of the practitioner of the Scrum Master and then jumped right into Agile coaching? This is where I went through this. And this is where I'm going to start talking about me getting real, about my story. I actually started out as a project manager. I was actually a product manager. I would say I was a crappy product manager. I didn't really understand a lot of things back then than I do now. And project management, I wasn't too bad at actually managing projects. Scrum Master, I loved. I loved being a Scrum Master. Even though in the beginning, I think that as I was getting acclimated, it was kind of a little questionable as I was trying to figure out my world. But I actually embraced it. And the one thing I loved about it was really just Agile in general. The whole thing about Agile was the growth mindset and being able to fear set naturally, right? It's all about embracing uncertainty and being able to do all these different things out there. And so for someone like me, that I'm a game changer and I have no problem with change, this was actually phenomenal for me. But here's what I didn't realize, and this is where the crash and burn started to happen, was the personal development. Remember when I talked about the mirror pocketbook? Well, I started going through my own personal transformation. And to be honest, it happened in a couple of different phases. I think where it started to take place a lot was when I started to become in situations where not everyone really wanted to learn Agile. Not everyone wanted to change. And I had a hard time dealing with that. And so all of those emotions and all those things, that the stories that I was telling in my mind, the reactions that were coming out were completely, probably not very productive, because it was me almost throwing the internal temper tantrums coming out of not being satisfied, because I'm like, why wouldn't you want to change? Why wouldn't you like Agile? Doesn't it completely make sense to you? I mean, are you stupid? I mean, I'm going to be honest. These are the kind of things that were going through my head. And if I would have had the type of coaching that I was able to experience like I have, really getting into understanding what these stories that are going through my head and really understanding how I can react better, which really gets down to insecurities that were way before this Agile journey, not even realizing they surface when certain things start to trigger it, which was quite amazing. Now, as I go through and kind of poke through, I have a couple of visuals, but not sure if I'm going to show everything. This is Tony Robbins' website. And this is where everyone knows Tony Robbins, right? Hello, popular guy. I literally took this off of his website of what he talks about coaches, and I really honed in on identifying limiting beliefs and your life and maximizing his or her potential. What makes this any different when we are going through our agile journey or transformations in a company that this is not applicable? So I kind of wonder is, why did we cancel out the life coaching aspect of coaching before we went into agile coaching, of not helping people identify those limiting beliefs and help them grow? Now, some of you might be doing that on your one-off one-on-ones, but are we always hired to do that? Or are we really just hired to teach Scrum and implement SAFe and agile release train and do all these other things that are out there? And so this is where it's for us to start getting real, is why we need to really bring back that essence of coaching and life coaching and helping us how we think of things, which will help us get to action that limits us from really going to see our full potential as people. Now, I had a couple of videos, which once this airs, I'll go ahead and attach that in this video where I talk about in my Scrum Master and the Agile careers. I showed this, and I love this because this is from the NLP, the Neuro-Linguistic Programming Change Logical Model from Peter Dilts, that I always show, because here's the thing where we always like to focus on, and I don't care if it's Agile, Waterfall, you name it, put a name on it. Everything that is below and it's down to the behaviors and the environments and the capabilities of how you do things and skills, we have to start moving up a level and really starting to get to people and their beliefs and why they do things, and starting to connect to the values and beliefs of an organization. Are they aligning? Do they match up? And of course, who you are and your identity. For us to be the best version of ourselves, it really starts with transformation within you. And it's hard. It sucks. I've had questions about my own marriage. And is this the right person for me as I'm going through this personal transformation? And you go to work and you're like, oh my God, I hate my freaking job. And I hate everything. And you start questioning, even though you're trying to have this positive mindset. I'm just being truthful here, because you start to realize you feel like you're in the twilight zone, where I don't know if you guys remember, if you've ever experienced where, okay, I went to bars and stuff when I was in my age. Okay, those of you that know me, yeah. But if you ever go out and you are completely sober and everyone else is drunk, and the story and the scene is completely different. And those of you that never drink, you probably experience this all the time with all the wackos. That's how I started to feel when I went into my personal transformation. I felt like that. And everything about your life is surrounded by that. And this is where all of these things in life coaching is profound and helpful, where you as an agilist and you start to become aware and you start to have that growth mindset and you start to want to personally develop, you're going to start feeling like that person at the bar that's completely sober and everyone else is drunk. Twilight zone, however you want to call it. It will start to feel that way. And those of you that are agilists that have drank the Kool-Aid and you go to organizations that aren't necessarily there, you feel it as well. It's hard. It's a struggle, because we are not necessarily focusing on that. We know each individual is going through their own personal transformation, and it's all about mindset. Now, I always say the two most important days of your life is what? When you're born and the day that you find out why. And when you start exploring your purpose, which a lot of people are doing these days, you start to question a lot of things of what you're doing. Am I making an impact? Am I doing something that I really like? Now, it might be where a lot of people are saying, okay, I have a job. I go and do something and I make money. And then I go and find something that I can make an impact. Now, that's fine. They figured it out. But when we are going through these agile transformations and we're really thinking about purpose and we're trying to teach them about people first cultures, our expectations is we're hoping that the organizations that we're within are starting to actually act upon those. And that we don't want to have to go to somewhere else. And so when you see all these things about agile and everything that you do, I'm going to probably fast forward this and take this off. These are the things that we want to start asking ourselves. And with agile, with life coaching, it starts to get us to think about our mindset and how we think about things and really address those limiting beliefs that might be an impact to us getting to action or how we actually perceive things. And so next week, as I dive into a couple of life coaching tips that we can start using every day, wouldn't it be great if we start incorporating a lot more things in life coaching with what we do out there today? And so organizations, like I said, education systems, all these groups can really benefit from helping everyone be the best version of themselves. We as Agilists, I think as I light up and I talk about this, that's always what we want. We're always striving to be the best person. And what we're going to start talking about every week as I launch this live weekly is I want those of you that have had, oh, here's my little captions. Okay, I'm not really good at this. So now, as I have, what are the life coaching techniques that you're used to? Comment on that. Forgot to say that, by the way. And then also, this is my plug. If you're interested in sharing your mindset success story, I'd love for you to come. And you don't have to be a part of Agile. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're somebody out in the business or you're doing something, it's all about mindset and how you are able to get through and get to action and be successful. And a lot of people that are business people out there today have learned how to really master that. And they master it in a way that it helps them with embracing uncertainty. And a lot of us that are entrepreneurs, we kind of have to clear our shit. I'm just going to get honest with that. We have to deal with it, because if we don't, we're not going to be successful. And so we have to go through all of those negative emotions and limiting beliefs, which is what I'm working on. And I will start to share that even more every week. And so if any of you want to come in and share your story to help inspire others, this is not always about me. This is also what you can do to want to share to help inspire those that are wanting to be able to be the best version of themselves, and they're not really sure how to go about it. Now, I do have a question for all of you, and this is this. The negative emotions that are most challenging to you. Now, there's about 5 of them. Let's see if I remember them off the hand. So we have fear, which is the big one. We have guilt. We have sadness. I knew I was going to forget them. All right, let me see if my things have that here. Hold on one second. I can never remember all my 5 negative emotions, and I might not remember them. Okay, those of you that are watching right now, those 5 negative emotions. Help me with the last 2. I'll put them in the comments, because I knew I was going to forget those. Gosh darn it. Any of you that ever know me, I forget stuff and I have to write it down. But at the end of the day, these emotions are what gets to you. It doesn't matter if I name all 5 of them, for crying out loud.
What really matters at the end of the day is how you're dealing with them. And you know what they are. They're the ones that are the little voices in your head telling you that you can't do something. They're the little voices in your head that tell you you should not and are creating doubt for you to do anything. So name them. Does it really matter at the end of the day? Because you know you feel them. The key is, what are you going to do about them? Right? Are you going to still continue to say the same stories in your head, which then limit your ability to change? And you can see how this can correlate. If you're in an organization and we're trying to go through a transformation and they're saying, hey, experiment. Don't be afraid. Show, fear of failure. Show, all of your goods and talk about your failures and be vulnerable. Well, great for you to say that, but this crap is hard. Especially if you have those demons of what I call those 5 negative emotions that are limiting you from being able to actually talk about them. And so this is what life coaching is about. I don't need fancy presentations to really get real about this. This is the heart where all of us, even an agile coach, we need to be our first client. That's us. Me. What are those little arrows? We are the first client, because then you know how it feels. You know the things that you need to do and how it actually relates to you working through that mindset shift. And if we are trying to, if I go back to Lyssa Adkins, right? Being a teacher, being a mentor, right? You need to live it and go through that yourself to help others. And you know what? Shit's ugly. But you got to do it. Because that's the essence of really being a coach. Look at a lot of the coaches that are out there with athletes and what might have you. You don't think that they have their stories to tell and what they went through? And you hear all of like great leaders that might even talk about that, and they're very inspirational. Well, it's the same thing. So when we talk about being someone that is an agilist, truly, and those of you are doing it, I see it every day, and they're awesome people. But those of you that are still going through that journey where you haven't gotten real, what are you doing with your personal transformation? How are you going to help others with that personal transformation? Because you've done it yourself. You've dealt with your insecurities. Those ugly things that we don't like to talk about. And they are, because they're scary. And I'm going to leave with you guys, since I have about 2 minutes left, and today's is, what do you want to start doing to start changing that paradigm? What do you want to start learning, as this whole channel is centered around, is trying to help bring some of those life coaching techniques to help you. So please let me know and comment, and I would love to hear from you. And again, it's all about, and hello, Roxana. It's all about really getting real, and subscribe to my channel. And if you liked this first kickoff of my weekly live video and what you really want to, we're going to really get into more technical, practical things about certain tips next week. Like the channel, subscribe, give me some comments, feedback of what you want to hear. And it's all about going through this journey together. And I will share some of my personal stories and how I've gotten through it. Baggage is here, because I could tell you right now, it hasn't been easy. And I am okay with sharing how I've gotten through that, because maybe it might help you. So what is my X and O? Love you guys, and I will see you next week. Bye.